the 10 minutes that you have at an audition frequently, right, are really traumatic, if nothing else, right? And none of us escapes a little blood at some point in our lives from these auditions. I guarantee you, none of us escapes that. What I would tell you, just as I'm doing for myself right now, the more you train yourself to really concentrate on the task at hand, right? Training, a lot of that training goes on in your practice room, how you practice, all the things that your teachers from the time you were little until now go into helping you perform well, right? All those things. You may think sometimes that I'm being told things that I've never heard before. Why did somebody tell me this before? Because as a teacher, and many of you have taught some already, you have to prioritize a little bit, and you can't address everything in the amount of time that a teacher has to give to you as you're growing up. So everyone has a certain focus, and where you are now is a result of many different factors. And my main hope for this session and a lot of Tanglewood is to try and get you through that preliminary live audition, right? Those 10 minutes that have to be really, really good. That you make things go wrong, and there's very little chance at redemption, right? In those 10 minutes, and then after that, you have to be able to calm yourself down and cope. If you go on, you have to calm yourself to be able to go on and continue the audition. So that's my hope, and everything we do today will sort of be about that. And without saying anything more, who's ready to go? A musical thing that we would probably object to is this idea of a beautiful line that you play, dee da da dee da da, and the last note is like that, dee da dee da da, dee da dee da dee. So let yourself finish. Whether you slur that note in is a separate issue, but the way you handle the bow and the way the last note, the sort of finish of that first statement, I think is really important. So just be careful you don't jump that note out at us. And if you're counting eighth notes, if you play a full eighth note, do you have a part that has a dot on it or something, no, by any chance? I think you should play a full eighth note. That means ba, and the sound stops on the second, right? I only say that not because it's just written that way, but because it'll help you with this taper. Mm-hmm. So slow bow, dee da da dee da dee, right? Mm-hmm. Try it one more. Now, same thing. Quiet. So it may happen that you do that dee da dee da dum in order to get back to where you want to go, right? So you have to identify that and just say, well, I can't sacrifice a musical concept for that reason. What if you, just for a second, if you view the line, dee da dee da da, like that, yeah, a mini phrase that actually has a tiny bit of profile. You can actually do that the way you're suggesting, but what I'm getting right now, dee da da dee da da, right, dee da da dee da da, so it carries through a little bit more, right? Beautiful, beautiful. It was nice, wasn't it? All of a sudden, it breathes. And that's really great. Can you go ahead to the second part? Dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-da. Yeah, just try it once. See if you can play it in a way that you can play the last note short, as you tend to do, but still make it beautiful and have some taper. It's hard to do, isn't it? It's not singing anymore, right? Whenever you do that. And so, you know, there are a few concepts like that. Singing, I would say, is the priority above anything. Even it's the underpinning of even technical passages is of singing quality in your sound and in your phrasing. So I think that would really help you to, you know, make your playing more appealing to more people. If I had, we might even do this in a minute, but if I all had you writing down comments right here, it would be really interesting to see what you would actually say. If you were saying, okay, she's going to be a part of my orchestra, what am I thinking here? Is this going to work for our group to play, you know, for our playing? So you might in fact be thinking to yourself, well, if I ask this candidate to be able to do this way, are they going to be able to manage this? We're on stage sitting here, and Lauren Mazel says, and we have, you know, 10 minutes left in a rehearsal and we want to change something. Is the person sitting next to me going to be able to do this, like this, right? Whatever it is, more articulation, less articulation, change your fingering so we play it all on the same string, whatever that happens to be. Those become some of the additional questions that section members ask. Great, thank you very much. Bravo. Turn around. I want you to just listen. Oh, you last time or two. Just turn around. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Good, good. Brahms. Mendelssohn. And just a few bars of Don Juan. Bravo. Thank you. It's interesting doing that, isn't it? Just listening. Have any of you actually been on a committee that you have to vote or decide? Youth orchestra? It's really hard. It's really hard. You sit there, and if you listen to many people at all, you start thinking, "Wow, what do you do?" You have to find a way. And if you look at an audition that way, if you start thinking about that, so every person has a say in how it, I think it starts to inform you about the kinds of things that might be convincing and the kinds of things that might not be very convincing. My general feeling, if I listen to you play an audition like this, is that there's something in the sound which stays sort of flat, right? For instance, when you went from the Mozart to the Brahms, it was a similar feeling that I didn't get a lot of warmth and change in color from the sound. You know, the other thing is it's so difficult to become our own teachers, and it's probably listening to ourselves. That's the thing. It's like being able to watch yourself do something. It's probably the most important thing. And the better you are at listening to yourself and really knowing, it happens. It's all of us. And as a section, sometimes we'll be playing something and everybody thinks we're already doing that, and a conductor's asking us 10 times to do it, and we think we're doing it, but actually, if we went out and listened, it probably isn't happening the way we think it is. And frequently that's the case with our own playing. Just try the Brahms. What do you think? What do you think?
Better.
Yeah?
But it's not.
Okay. So without trying to identify something technical that you're doing, can you just feel more about a stronger commitment to this, as though you're playing your own recital, your own concert? This is a Brahms sonata or something, okay? It's not an orchestral excerpt. It's still music, right? Mm-hmm. It was really interesting on the Olympics, listening to Michael Phelps' coach talking about him. You know, he'd crush his goggles, or before making him do, you know, a practice race or do crazy things. I think it's a good idea, and it might help you with that. You know, if you, for instance, if you set your your timer on your phone on repeat so that it, church bells go off every 2 minutes or something, and you have to leave it. Yeah, you have to keep playing. Have a friend call you. There are all kinds of things. Run on the spot for 2 or 3 minutes, right, to really raise your heart rate, and see if you can play right away. There are all kinds of things that you can do to, or have friends call you. Make it a point some morning that your phone's going to ring. You're going to want to answer it. Your friends are going to be mad at you if you don't answer it. But you have to you train yourself to tune everything else out. When you go to auditions, you may end up playing an hour earlier than your audition, right? You may end up playing 2 hours later. Your flight might be late. There's no such thing as normal. I'm sure you've already experienced that. And so the stronger your roof is, right, to let the water just run off, you should be able to hear everything actually, though. You got to be able to hear it without it dripping through and getting you all wet, so you don't take things personally, because it's not. It's our job. It's our life. It is personal. It's difficult to separate that because it feels personal, but it's not really, right? It's just our feelings about music. So the less you can take it personally in that way, in terms of learning at least, the better it is. So how do you practice if it doesn't work? What you currently do doesn't work. So how were you warming up? It felt good at home.
I'm calm. I don't have everyone watching, so it's just the
I
nerves.
see.
And like you're saying, I don't as often just play through things.
Yep.
Oh, that wasn't good. Let me fix it before I move on.
Yep.
And I think that mentality is
I know for me, if I force myself to just say, okay, this is the one time, I cannot stop, and I go through it, I feel a lot more pressure myself, right? That's a lot more like what happens here. So I think if you actually do that and you get used to doing that, that can help you a lot. Good, thank you. Let's go on.